When a pipe bursts beneath a mobile home park, the immediate concern is physical damage. Water pools, soil erodes, and a crew is dispatched immediately. Most operators look at water and trash bills as an unavoidable reality of doing business. They treat them as fixed costs, just another standard line item on the monthly P&L. Treating utilities as a fixed expense ignores commercial real estate mechanics. These monthly bills are the largest controllable variable you have for forcing property appreciation. Consider the baseline of physical waste in an older park. A single undetected quarter-inch leak somewhere in the system might not even surface above ground. Yet that tiny breach pushes 15,000 gallons of water into the dirt every single month. That translates to hundreds of dollars bleeding out of your operating account unnoticed. Leaving those inefficiencies in place directly suppresses the total market value of the entire asset. This diagram shows the foundational formula of commercial real estate. You take your total revenue, subtract your operating expenses, and you are left with your net operating income, or NOI. Because utilities sit entirely within that expense block, every dollar you cut from the water or trash bill shrinks the total expenses. When expenses shrink, your NOI expands proportionally, dollar for dollar. That expanded NOI is then divided by the market capitalization rate, let's say 7%, to determine the property's total value. The cap rate is simply the expected return on investment based on generated income. In practice, every dollar saved on utility expenses creates $10 to $15 in forced equity. This presents a clear choice for park owners. You can either accept a lower valuation to avoid the headache of managing utility systems, or you can deploy upfront capital to fix the infrastructure. Upgrading those systems is not a binary choice. There is a wide spectrum of strategic interventions available to operators. You have to choose how far to push it. Each option requires upfront capital, introduces friction with residents, and yields a completely different payoff. Utility recapture is an ROI calculation, weighing the immediate operational friction against the resulting valuation multiples. Any optimization starts by looking at the broad physical footprint of your park. Assess the current state of your pipes, your master water meters, and your existing vendor contracts. This chart plots optimization strategies. In the low-effort, low-impact zone is Tier 1, basic infrastructure maintenance. By tracking consumption patterns to catch anomalies, you can eliminate hidden leaks and drop unexpected utility bills by 20 to 30%. The limitation is strict. You still pay for baseline water usage. Moving up the chart, we find Tier 2, vendor negotiation, which typically yields another 15 to 25% in savings. Tiers 1 and 2 require almost zero capital expenditure. They provide immediate bumps to your net operating income, but your maximum upside is capped by the baseline amount of water your residents use and the pricing floor set by local trash monopolies. To bypass those limits, operators have to look at removing the utility burden from the property's profit and loss statement entirely. This is Tier 3. It involves installing individual water meters at every single pad, or implementing a ratio utility billing system, known as RUBS, allocating property-wide utility costs to residents based on square footage or occupancy. The reality of this tier is demanding. It requires heavy, upfront capital expenditure to buy and install the meters. It also introduces friction, as you now have to educate residents on a completely new billing process. Looking back at the chart, submetering sits squarely in the high-effort, high-impact zone. It takes a $3,000 to $6,000 annual park expense and converts it into a resident responsibility. There is also a secondary psychological effect. The moment residents become personally responsible for paying their own water bill, they natively reduce their usage by 15 to 25%. For the capital-constrained independent operator who locks the funds for a park-wide infrastructure overhaul, the priorities are different. If that's your situation, focus strictly on Tiers 1 and 2. Audit your master meters regularly. Compare the numbers against known tenant usage to find the anomalies. Your goal right now is to stabilize expenses. Do not attempt to pass costs along using a ratio utility billing system if you don't have the proper billing infrastructure in place. Doing so invites resident disputes and potential legal penalties for noncompliance. For the budget-conscious owner, utility management focuses on baseline stabilization rather than aggressive scaling. But if you are a value-add syndicator actively underwriting the acquisition of an older master-metered park, your strategy changes entirely. you should underwrite the cost of comprehensive submetering into day one of your acquisition plan. Because the 2 to 4 year payback period is consistent, installing submeters is one of the most mathematically sound capital deployments available in the mobile home park asset class. When you build those models, avoid relying on generic national utility averages. You must use state-specific benchmarks to ensure your localized underwriting is anchored in reality. Utility expenses are an illusion of fixed costs. Mastering the mechanics of recapture is how operators systematically drive property appreciation.